Well, what do you know? Another day and more news on the 2-5 situation with the Sixers today. A few new pieces of information detailing some potential suitors via trade. Also, some thoughts as to when he may be dealt and a whole lot more coming up. Let's go. Perfect. What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome back on into the show. Like always, if you do enjoy this content, please feel free to take a second and drop a like. It tremendously helps out the channel. Subscribe if you are new. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate you all so much. Last night, we officially hit 15,000 subscribers. It's been a grind and a journey, and let's keep growing, man. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. Hit the bell so you get all the notifications anytime we drop content or go live. Today, we're back. And we have some more news on the 2-5 situation, so let's hop right into it. A couple days ago, before the Sixers game, Keith Pompey puts out this bomb to sources. James Harden and Jerami Grant are on the Sixers' latest list of 2-5 trade targets, and this stirred up a lot of talk, a lot of controversy, and over, honestly, the last day or two, things have really been boiling with these talks. When I first saw this, I was thinking, well, James Harden, now the Sixers would dive back into that whole thing, and the Nets are playing well now. So, in my personal opinion, I don't believe 1 second of the James Harden thing. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Kyrie Irving for 2-5 in terms of a swap. I don't really understand that. I never did. I don't want Kyrie Irving because he's a head case, and I just don't think he'll end up playing a full season for the Philadelphia 76ers. And for the Brooklyn Nets, who knows if 2-5 would even step on the floor. There's been a lot of off the court stuff going on with these two teams. James Harden, I would love him on this team, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I just don't see it happening. Maybe after this season, if things were to kind of boil over and people were still unhappy, maybe Daryl Morey would try to go out and acquire James Harden again and reunite, but I just don't see it right now. Now, in terms of Jerami Grant, I do think that Daryl Morey has definitely talked to the Detroit Pistons, but I do have some strong thoughts on the Jerami Grant thing, which we will get into in just a minute. But anyway, in the last day, obviously, there's been a bunch of talking about this situation, and then a conflicting report, as usual. Michael KB from CBS Sports puts this out. The Sixers are not interested in trading 2-5 for Jerami Grant, and there are no current conversations between them and the Pistons, per a source close to the situation. And then Sam Amick, who we've been following closely this offseason, joined the Gastroenteritis podcast from Liberty Ballers. Now, that's an interesting name to say the least, okay? Brings up bad memories in terms of some players. But, he joined them to talk, and he says, quote, he's not getting on the floor anytime soon. They just reminded the Sixers that they want a trade. And this has kind of been my mindset. It's pretty obvious if it's clear if you haven't seen it yet. He's not coming back to this team. He's not playing here. So like I said last week and a couple days ago, it's only a matter of time, right? And, everybody's looking at this December 15th date because that's the first day that players signed this offseason can be traded. And, between then and February, will there be guys available? Well, who knows? There's a list of people, and then there's guys who are playing on teams right now who are doing really well. There's other stars who don't want out of their teams. There's a lot going on. Like I said, we have to survey the playing field. I don't think Daryl Morey's in any rush at all. And then even, following on top of that, another kind of tidbit that has come out here from Sam Amick. He writes that the Sixers have a list of approximately 30 players who would satisfy them in a 2-5 swap, and there's an internal belief that 5 to 10 of them could become available in the next year or two. Now, this kind of aligns with what Daryl Morey's been saying, because the Sixers seem to be putting it out there, at least on the public stage. They're not in any rush because they know what 2-5 once was in terms of potential and how they could kind of market him up, being in talks for James Harden last year. They don't want to settle. It's a really tough situation to be in from a management standpoint. You're kind of in the middle. You see this Sixers team with a lot of potential and upside. You want to go and give them a championship chance, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to get anything for them because the last time you saw them on the floor, it's a tough situation. We've been going through it for the last however many months, right? But I understand. And Daryl Morey is trying to stick to his guns, and he just doesn't want to give the guy away for a bucket of golf balls, So it's a tough situation. It really is. But I don't think the Sixers, at least in the public, eye, are in a rush here. I really don't think they are. I think they will take this down to the last day of the trade deadline if it comes down to it. But what I do think is that putting this report out, there's 30 players available that they would entertain. I mean, there's a lot of guys I would entertain. Doesn't mean you're going to get any of them. And, my thoughts are this can't go past the trade deadline. You cannot wait like this. I think there's teams that are, for example, the Kings we talked about, they're starting to feel the pressure. Their fans, they're losing. And I think some teams are going to kind of hop in the mix here and jump in. But that's just my personal thoughts. I don't know. But, I guess he's here available for the taking. And if a team is unhappy with their current situation or current players, could a team kind of, overpay a little bit? Maybe, but it remains to be seen. All I know is that the Sixers are going to be straight. Tyrese Maxey's been balling. We'll be okay, but I do hope this ends soon. We get a player that helps us and everybody gets healthy and we kind of, move back into form here. But in terms of the Jerami Grant thing, I just want to speak on that a little bit more. As I've seen the progression of Tyrese Maxey the last couple of weeks, I've started to shift my thoughts and, to completely now saying the Sixers need a wing player, okay? I'm done trying to look for a star point guard. I don't think any are going to be available. I don't think it's a kind of a strong free agent class this next year. Guys are going to sign extensions. I think the Sixers need to go for a two-way wing, a guy who can hold his own on both sides of the ball, give us 20 points a game, guy that can create his own shot, and really kind of be a closer as well, and just be another threat, a lethal force when we need him to, right? A guy I've been thinking about a lot is Jaylen Brown, those whole rumors that we talked about. I think Jaylen Brown would be perfect for this team, and I'm hoping that the Sixers find a way to get their hands on him. But when it comes to Jerami Grant, I've been hearing a lot of people on both sides over the last couple of days. Now, I'm here to just give my thoughts. I would love to hear yours down below in the comment section, but I'm just going to keep this real simple for time's sake, okay? And I'll pull up a Kyle Neubeck article that just came out, 20 minutes ago to kind of support some of the things I'm saying. But originally when I saw Jerami Grant, my answer is no, okay? I'm not taking anything away from Jerami Grant. I don't want to slander him at all. I'm actually really proud of Jerami Grant, coming from literally the trenches, a.k.a. the process years, being a process Sixer, a second-round draft pick, a guy who was really not supposed to amount to anything. He's made a career for himself. He has acquired a bag. He's played on a couple good teams. He's really become a good player. I'm proud of that dude. I really am. But Sixers fans, let me put it out here for you now. I know we are so frustrated with the 2-5 situation. It's really grueling. It is, as a fan. I get it. But we have to not talk ourselves into things that just don't make sense. Jerami Grant, we need to stop talking ourselves into him being the piece in a potential 2-5 trade that will put us over the top. He's just not. He's not. I respect him as a player. He's a really, really good player. He doesn't fit on this team. He's not a guy that can, really put us over the top. Are you going to give the ball to Jerami Grant in crunch time and say, go get us a bucket to win a playoff series? I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. And it doesn't really make sense, that trade for either team. Why would the Pistons want 2-5? They have a lot of young guys already, and they're trying to, center that team around their young guards. How is he going to fit on that team better than Jerami Grant? And for the Sixers, what is Jerami Grant? How is he going to fit next to Tobias Harris? I am not sold on that fit at all. Jerami Grant is struggling shooting the ball from deep. He's averaging, 18 points a game on a Pistons team where they paid him to be the man. He probably should be averaging 25 a game, if I'm being completely honest. But either way, he's a good player, but he's not the guy. And I'm glad, because I don't think Daryl Morey's going to kind of get sucked into that, ideology. Like, let's go out and settle for a Jerami Grant and fillers trade. And as I pull up the Neubeck article here, he makes some really good points. Even if the Sixers want to acquire a lot of draft picks or whatever, or even clear salary cap space and, trade for a vet and then waive that guy or buy him out or move him and, facilitate another trade, I think that would even be a better idea than this. But you can't even do that, as Kyle Neubeck says here in point number 2, because Jerami Grant's contract is not good to do that. You're not going to be able to really move that with ease. Like I said in point number 1, there's just not really a good fit in terms of Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. I don't know. That would be an awkward fit to me. And I just don't think he moves the needle, you know. And then lastly, again, as Kyle Neubeck says in point 3, the Sixers are trying to get a difference maker, and I just don't know if that's Jerami Grant. So at the end of the day, I'm all out on that trade. I think we have to wait, survey the playing field, and as, you know, February approaches, I think some guys will become available, but I think we really need to go for a wing. I know Jerami Grant's kind of considered a wing, but the Sixers need to get a difference maker. I'm in on Jaylen Brown. A couple other guys will definitely be talking about it more, but come on, Sixers fans, don't settle. This guy was once a number 1 overall pick, an all-star, right? We have to get what we need to make us a championship team because, like I said yesterday, this team is not far off. One more piece, I think we're going to be a lethal threat. We're going to be deadly come playoff time this year if we get the right piece. Those are just my thoughts. Loving the progression on this team. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comment section on the situation. Do you agree with me? Do you not? Would you, accept the Jerami Grant trade? Let me know all your thoughts. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Like always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you guys again for 15,000. You guys are the best, man. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. Peace.
Perfect.